Okay, good evening, everyone. Going to call the Marion Township Board of Supervisors meeting for Thursday, February 27th to order. Time is now 7:01 p.m. First item, as always, is the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'll ask everyone to please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as always, the meetings are being recorded for audio and video. So we ask that you please silence your cell phones or at least put them on vibrate. That way we don't disturb the flow of the meeting. Anyone wishing to address the board through public comment, we ask that you come towards the front of the room so that we can pick you up on the microphones, and that you also sign in on the sign-in sheet at the front. I know we have somebody here from Reed's Church. We'll let you go first because I got the impression that you have some stuff you need to do still this evening. So do you want to come up and say your item for public comment?
Thanks for inviting me. I just have some not definite information.
Can you just state your name and address just for record?
Wilmer Good,
Thank you.
and the church building that I purchased is at 38 Main Street, South.
Thank you. It's just for,
Thank you.
recording purposes.
So in 2020, I bought that church building, and I paid, I think $18,000 for the contents. And then the church said, this they don't want to sell, this they do, this will stay here. And some of the things they didn't want me to have, they said they were going to put it in a museum somewhere or do something with it. I wasn't quite sure. And a couple pieces like a Gruber organ, a communion set, some old Bibles and such. I had an interest in it, but it was theirs to say that I may not have it. But I have since learned that some of those items might sort of not have a home. And if that's the case, I would like to have it.
I mean, I don't have any problems with it.
Yeah, in the case of the organ, I don't really have any objection to putting the organ back where the organ came from, especially if it's something that's going to be well taken care of and, you know, I'll say more enjoyed than it's just sitting at the township building right now. So, do either of you have a problem with it?
I don't have a problem with it at all.
It's in the, I think it's in the hallway.
Yeah, it's in the hallway upstairs.
Upstairs, yeah. Are you gonna come and get it or have some?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not light.
No.
Yeah. I don't know how much it weighs, but we have means
So-
to get it.
Does it have any value?
We got it donated to us, and I don't know that
We've never done
gotten
evaluation.
any evaluation on it whatsoever. So it came out of the church, and we're going to put it back in the church.
And we did have a question about that, you know, returning items to their previous homes. That doesn't bother any of us, but we did have a question during the workshop meeting as to how to facilitate that and what your opinion is on those items. So.
So I know we're effectively giving it away from public to private at that point.
Yeah, I'd like to understand if it has any value. If it doesn't, the township can just give Mr. Good a bill of sale.
Okay.
For the items.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no objection for us. We just have to figure out the right vehicle for it.
If the personal property is over a certain amount of money,
Yeah.
then we may not have an obligation but to auction it.
Yeah. I Googled it and I couldn't really find anything.
Okay.
Maybe there might be one or so at the Berks County Museum, but the gentleman that I think he said he bought it at an auction for $100, maybe less.
Okay.
The one that's at the Berks County Museum or whatever the museum's called that's in.
I mean, I can't imagine an appraisal
Yeah.
would be much money if we can find someone in the county who can do it.
Would somebody from one of the historical societies be able to?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, we'll put some feelers out, but like I said, we're receptive to it. We just got to figure out the what and how.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for coming out. Okay. Who's next on the sign-in sheet, Carl? Would you be able to, since you're on that side of the table? Loretta? Okay, thanks, Loretta.
Question.
Sure.
Loretta Boucher, 127 Main Street. Everyone keeps calling me the $50 sewer. I myself thought it was a one and done, but every year, now this is the
Yeah.
third year?
Yeah.
Explain that. Why is there one, $50 every year?
So there's a cost for, it's not the sewer as like you're thinking about the
Well,
sewer.
it's just that way on there.
Yeah,
Right.
so. let me-
According to the tax sheets, we only were able to put it down as a levy. There's only a selected amount of items that you could call it. And so it's a sewer levy, so to speak. Previously, what we were doing when you would get your septic system inspected, residents were paying a $200 fee. So instead of, because we switched gears as to how we're doing that, instead of having someone come and inspect it, you're charged that $200 fee. What we figured would be easier is charging the $50 annually to everyone to spread the cost out a little bit better. I can tell you on our ends of things, paying for the sewer management program, it's a wash.
Yeah.
I think there was like $100 difference between what it cost us to pay for the sewer program through Hydroterra managing it, through our SEO, and what we're doing with the sewer levy. So it's worked out well for us.
Yeah.
But yes, it gets confusing. It's not a tax, it's a levy. It's that fee that we need to charge, that is charged, that was previously charged when the person came out to inspect it, but that was paying for the program in general.
And so if I can add a couple of things,
Yeah.
just as clarity on that, the reason it's called what it's called is we don't get to choose the name.
Right,
There's,
yeah.
there's a predefined list that the county says you can put any one of the following things on the tax bill. That was the
That
closest
was
one.
it, yeah.
And the Act 537, this is a part of it, but it's not the sewer project part of it. So this is the, everybody has to have their system, whether it's a sand mound or a traditional
Septic
lot
system.
system
You
or,
have to
you know,
have it
holding tank.
inspected and
It has
maintained.
to be inspected. So we figured rather than having somebody pay a one shot $200 and then having to worry about, you know, other people getting chased for collection and stuff, it was easier just to put it on a $50 thing and it's just the
Yeah.
sliding payment.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
thank
And
you.
if you have any questions, just call me.
Yeah, and you could always call the
Call the
office
office,
too.
too.
Yeah, call the office, please. Anyone, if anyone out in the public is listening to this or watching this, if you have a question about something, if you want it part of public comments, you can call it into the office and we will detail it as a public comment. It will be discussed and announced here. So let's say you can't make it to the meeting, you can certainly call in with a question or concern and we can represent you at this meeting.
Yeah, likewise, you can send it
Yeah,
an email
email.
and
Yep.
we'll send you something back. Okay, Carl, who's next up?
Beverly?
Come on forward, Beverly.
Beverly Brassman, 412 Water Street, Strasburg, PA. First of all, we were talking about having a work day
Yes.
with dates. I'd like to submit my dates that I'm available as of right now.
Thank you.
Also, I was approached last evening from a gentleman that showed me a paper that was sent to him in the mail concerning things on his property. He is very upset about it. How can people take pictures and then relate it back to the township and then he get a letter about it?
Well,
Who's?
they're the
he?
codes officials. It's
Who's he?
Kraft.
Who's he?
Mike, I don't remember his last name. He's right here on Main Street. 2 pictures have been taken.
Mhm.
Down the alley, he's got a garage where he works out of for his cars and stuff. He's been here 13 years and now there's an issue. He says that a letter was sent to him, pictures were taken. I saw it
If-
and it's like, how can that
Well,
happen?
you can take
take
pictures from the right of way.
Anybody can take pictures of my property.
Yep.
Yeah, it's outside, it's public domain.
And send it to,
I mean, if
Okay.
if it becomes pervasive, you may have a claim, but generally speaking, yes, someone is entitled to take a picture from the public right of way with software.
Well, think about it this way, Beverly. If I took a selfie outside of your house, just a selfie of me, and I sent it to a whole bunch of people, I'm still taking a picture of your property. This is just a little more focused in the sense that the code enforcement people have a list of things that they're supposed to check when they're just driving around looking at stuff. And they noticed that he had something that was in violation. So they snapped a picture, sent him a letter saying, hey, we noticed this. Here's proof of it. And there's some remediation steps in that letter as well.
okay, so is he the only one that's being
Oh,
sent?
no,
these
no,
things?
no, no.
I think there was
No.
about a dozen letters.
Yeah,
that
there
were
was, I
sent.
think, like 12 that were sent.
And what about the weed situation? I drove up and down the alley today. And there's a thing, I don't know what no house number it is offhand.
Mhm.
But if you drive down the alley and you look to the left, it's the alley between where Klopp's um used to live. Uh, it's where the big,
So
the lawyer used to have his
there's,
office.
with weeds specifically, there's something that's within the rubbish ordinance and there's something in the IPMC as well, which was the notice of violation letters. So if you see something like that, I mean, obviously use discretion on like just somebody didn't mow yet versus somebody who has like 3 foot tall grass in their yard.
Yeah.
But call it in. We'll tell Kraft and Kraft will go take a look at it. And if it is something that they need to action, they'll send the property owner a letter.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
All the office.
Yep. Always, always, always call the
Thank
office. Carl, who's next up?
Dan, me, but I'll reserve my
Okay.
comments for the
Late-
appropriate
Time in the agenda. Okay, do we have anybody after Dan?
That's it.
Okay, fantastic. Are there any other public comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll go into the next portion of the meeting, which is the approval of the minutes. So Lisa has been diligently working through the backlog of things that kind of got shuffled around from us moving from building to building. So she has completed 3 so far. She's still working on 2 more that should be done soon. And she'll be powering through the rest of them, hopefully, knock on wood, maybe by next month we'll be caught up. So the first one is for the approval of minutes from August 15th. This is the special meeting where the bids and awards for road projects were made. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Peter, second by Irene, roll call Peter,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
Jesse.
The next, you're still working on the August 24th one. You
Yeah,
haven't,
that's gonna take a little bit of time,
yeah,
because it wasn't a video,
that was the one that I wasn't here for and you guys had to use the other thing.
yeah.
So, okay. The next one is the August 29th Board of Supervisors meeting. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Peter, second by Irene, roll call Peter.
Aye.
Irene.
Aye.
Jesse.
Okay. Then the last one that we have for approval is the minutes from the September 21st workshop meeting. I'll motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Peter, second by Jesse, roll call Peter.
Aye.
Irene.
Aye.
Jesse.
Okay. Moving right along. Irene, do you have anything for the treasurer's report?
No, other than we continue to have the mail problem. And I completely forgot to do the budget. I'll have the budget, and so we for the next meeting, so we can have a little bit more discussion on that.
Okay.
Better projections for the year.
You
Yeah.
had no problem getting to it after I showed it?
No.
Okay,
In
good.
fact, I could say Lisa and I did a little bit of catch up. There was a bunch of audits that again had just
Yeah.
neglected to review the time frame, but we're caught up with everything.
Excellent. Okay. Next is to approve the payment of the bills for March. I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Peter, second by Jesse, roll call Peter.
Aye.
Irene.
Aye.
Jesse.
Okay. As a general announcement, the sewer levy thing that we were talking about, the inspection that has to happen every 4 years or so. Everybody is within the cycle for having to have that pump out inspection done. So if you have not done that yet, please be sure to do so. We have the list of registered pumpers available upon request with the township. So if you send an email or give us a call, we'll let you know what they are. And now if the weather's turning, if you haven't done that, there's no time like the present. We've had about, I think it's 120 properties since we started this a couple of years ago that have checked in successfully, but we have, we're maybe like a third of, oh, that's no good. A third of the way through the total areas and property that need to be pumped out and inspected.
And the properties that are past due, we should send letters out. to.
Yes, we actually had talked to Joe and Kim on Saturday about that specifically, and they're going to be sending out enforcement letters in the spring. That it'll be a gentle reminder, and then if that's ignored, middle of the year, summertime, then they'll start sending enforcement actions. So I feel we've been gentle on this so far, but at some point we got to start pulling in on the control. So, relating to the Act 537, there's really not much news there other than there's been a number of grants that have been awarded for design, and the design around the low pressure sewer in accordance with what's in the Act 537 plan has started. There'll be more as that develops, but this is still an ongoing thing. It's going to be quite a while before we get to a point where we're going to be requesting any sort of grant funding. Excuse me, other than design. Next item is the restoration of the current building. We have been in discussion with Practical Preservation Services. Danielle Kepperling and Dana Clark, and from Tippett Weavers Architects were out last month and gave us a good presentation and explanation on things. As a follow-up, they gave us a quote for what they would have to do for design work from kind of a top-down roof, walls, windows, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, foundation assessment on what the building has and what it needs. That assessment would cost about, call it $8,000 to $10,000. And I think if we're going to do anything with that building, this is the first leap that we have to take. So,
there was something during the workshop meeting that you had,
oh yeah, I
Yeah.
want to confirm with them that this, even if it's not a finalized like floor plan, it's kind of a spitballed, like here's what we think would be a good use of the space based on the fact that you say you need this, 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 and this. But that's really my only concern is making sure that's in there. Otherwise, I think whether it's Practical Preservation or other engineering firms, we're going to have to do this to understand kind of what top to bottom on the building is needed. Do you have anything to add to that? Otherwise, like I would say we tell them to start going for it, and then we get confirmation on.
No, I 100% agree, but we need to make sure, even if it would be a different contractor.
Yeah.
It has to be a contractor that's familiar with old structures.
Oh yeah. But I'm just saying, like whether it's them or somebody else, I don't
Yeah.
think the cost is going to be substantially different because you're talking.
Well, this is a
Labor.
pretty good price.
Yeah.
Based off of what I've seen. So.
Yeah, and it's engineers, highly paid professionals, and time.
Hey, if they put in the work to go to school, then hey, that's what you gotta do.
Oh yeah, not maligning that. Just saying. So do we want to turn them loose on this and then ask about the floor plan, or do you want to ask
I
about
want
the
to
floor
ask
plan?
about the floor plan
Okay.
first.
So
Or you could make a motion contingent on.
upon floor plan.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm okay with that. If you guys
Yep.
are comfortable with that.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion to authorize Practical Preservation Services to do the architectural assessment for the estimated $8,950. Too many zeros there, Lisa. $8,950 to $10,700 contingent upon confirmation that it will include a draft floor plan.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Peter, second by Jesse, roll call, Peter.
Aye.
Irene.
Aye.
Jesse.
Okay. We also had a special meeting at the elementary school where we met with Megan McNish from the Eastern Region Community Preservation Society. And we talked about the historic elements of the town, the building itself, and a number of grant opportunities and other mechanisms that we and homeowners have for historic buildings. So I think that was very, very enlightening, and hopefully will help us out when we go to get grants for things. So we'll have to keep in contact with Megan McNish and make sure that we keep her up to date on any of the things that we do and find with the building, because we want to make sure that we're doing this in such a way that we can get grant opportunities from multiple channels, and we're not causing us to lose eligibility on one by doing something a certain way.
A couple people from the community asked that that be put up on YouTube.
Yeah.
So, because I guess there was an issue with getting it uploaded. There was a bunch of people that missed the meeting because they were away.
I gotta look at it because Lisa was telling me about that. It should upload fine. So
Okay.
I'll try it. Maybe it's just something goofy with the
Yeah,
computer
it's
or
this,
what.
you can hear, but there's no video, it's just black screen.
Really?
That's weird. Okay, yeah,
No.
I'll look at it. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
Okay. For number 4, the future planning, not to rehash this extensively, but this is areas where we can do things to more effectively beautify the township, make things more efficient, or add capabilities. Based on the clear and present danger that is the building, we've kind of decided through prior discussion to focus on some smaller little actions that we can do, like reseating the bleachers in the ball field, other little things that come up, but put primary focus on getting the building back into working order over the next couple of years. Otherwise, if anybody has an idea, there's no bad idea. call it into the township, send an email. It's always welcome for consideration, whether it's things like bike trails or trying to set a community cleanup day for the park.
Also, we gotta talk about where you're gonna put that monument, because I know that
Yes.
they're not gonna want that there all summer.
Yes, so I'm still a fan of putting it in that little island thing. And that would be simple. We just dig a small patch, fill it with gravel, tamp it down, and then put it there, and then we know what we're doing with what we're doing.
I don't want it in their way anymore, because I'm sure they're
Yeah.
gonna wanna,
Yeah,
You're gonna put a concrete slab down underneath.
permanently, yes, but for temporary, not temporary. They're not gonna pour a whole big concrete slab and then move it again. So what I was saying is we just put it in that little island thing there between the building and the park.
What's the definition of temporary?
A couple of years, maybe.
thing's gonna sink. It's very heavy.
Oh, I know it's very heavy, but do we want to pour a full concrete slab and then have to rip the slab out?
Well, where do you wanna put it? Do you
I
wanna put
don't
it?
know. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
The issue with putting it in that little corral too is
Yeah.
that pipe that goes from the building to the septic tank is somewhere in there.
Is it,
Oh,
okay,
boy.
that's,
There's a vent that comes up right there. There's also
Is
a
there?
line
Okay.
from,
well then,
There's a lot, I know where it comes out of the building into the street,
Then-
but,
scratch that.
but it might be in the way regardless
Yeah,
of where you put it in that.
I don't
center
wanna, I don't wanna
section.
put something that heavy over a septic pipe, but I
mean, if
figured
we-
that was
we could
nice
plant
and
it,
up
but-
and out of the way.
We could move it right or left, right? But you
Yeah.
still wanna be able to have a backhoe get in there to dig
Well, yeah.
that pipe out if
Well,
we need
yeah.
to replace
Yeah,
that
yeah,
pipe.
yeah. Do
Find a
we,
place. Yeah.
I mean,
Pick a spot.
yeah, say if anybody has any suggestions, otherwise maybe over by where the, like the concession stand is for the ball field.
That would work too. I mean,
How big is the monument?
it's
it's
big.
like the size of a tombstone.
I meant like the bottom of it,
It's
is
pretty
it?
big.
About like that.
Pretty big.
And we
Okay,
don't know if that's pinned to the concrete that it's on now.
I'm sure it probably is.
So,
It's- if it can make our lives difficult, it's gonna do it.
right, so it's
Um,
gonna be it might be tedious moving.
Yeah. I mean, we'll do it, but the biggest concern is where do we put it?
Right.
And I don't want to put it somewhere that, oh, well, hey, we're gonna, have
We
to
have to
get
move it
big
again,
equipment in and we
again.
gotta move it.
Yeah.
But we also don't
Yeah.
wanna damage
We don't want to
the
damage. the-
overhauls or sidewalk
Oh, yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Trying to tear it out.
Yeah.
If it's pinned down to the.
So, so look around, pick a
Yeah.
spot and we could, you know.
Yeah, say I'm
or-
I'm open to suggestions. I'm not tied to one specific thing.
Mhm.
I just figured that other than the sewer line was a
Right.
close spot to where we'd want to potentially move it, but not necessarily the permanent spot.
Even if we figure out a steel skid or something to put it on for now, that it can be easily moved again easily, and then we get it off their property, we need to they
Yeah.
need to be able to work.
Yeah, so let's find a good spot and we can see about a steel skate or something like that, and
And
then
if the community has any ideas where they would want it, reach
Yeah.
out.
That first option is gonna work, then maybe somewhere at the ball field.
yeah. So, well, like I said, we're open to suggestions, but
Be nice to put a flag near it and things.
yeah,
Are you gonna have kids climbing all over it?
I mean,
Probably.
probably, yeah. We don't want to put it like in the playground, but yeah, kids are kids.
You can put it on the unused tennis court.
Okay, moving on to the next item, the LSA statewide grant. This was to purchase a special response unit. This was submitted on November 12th, and we probably won't hear until the fall on that, so we'll move on from that. Short and long-term rental ordinances. We are currently working with Craft to ID all of the rental properties in the area. I know
Yeah.
you guys
we,
have been.
we both pulled up a bunch of properties and we have to kind of go through what we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have more time in April, so, okay. Yeah,
But yeah, that's gonna be a growing thing, and it's gonna
Yeah.
be something that we have to monitor, because that could change.
You have an eager man out there that's willing to help too. Dan might want to help.
yeah, yeah,
They're
it-
working on IDing properties that are most likely rental
Yeah.
properties.
so I went through the tax documents and generated a list, because if someone lives in California and that's not the person residing, the property owner like lives in California, you could safely assume they don't typically reside there, and there's other names listed on it, so we have a plan of attack with that.
Wouldn't the tax collector have a complete list?
Well, I think that's where we
Yeah,
got,
they gave
I
us
think
the
that's
list,
where we
yeah.
got the list
Yeah.
from.
I'll talk
Which
to
is like.
Yeah,
this.
we've got the data, it's just a matter of going through it and confirming it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and notes.
And he's
Yeah.
eager to get to work, I can tell.
yeah.
Sorry, one second.
Jesse,
It's
volunteering.
that, my wife's got a list of projects that long.
I understand that.
Blame it all on us women. We men have lists for us to do too.
I'll find a small corner, just sit there, don't worry.
Moving on to the next item, the joint comprehensive plan. We are waiting on a cost estimate from David Hunter from the Berks County Planning Commission. I've not seen that come
No,
through.
they haven't come in yet.
Okay. Road maintenance, Carl, before I leave tonight, I need to sit down with you since we didn't get the chance to do it on Saturday. But this will be the road plan for the year, along with some discussion around just general maintenance and other things we want to put onto a clean cycle. The next item is the GIS system. We authorized this at one of the prior meetings. So do we have any updates on getting the stuff started for GIS?
Yes, have the base map created.
Okay.
And we need to now populate it with, some of the parcel data.
Okay.
And then trim, because when we import it, we get the entire county.
Yeah.
So we're gonna need to trim it to the boundaries. But that workload is anticipated to take about 20 hours worth of effort.
Okay.
But I do have the base map created.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then once we get it to a point where we can turn Carl loose and tagging stuff in there, that'd be great.
So it's the software that it's gonna operate off of,
Mhm.
do you currently have that software, our
No, I think we authorized we purchased the hardware and software for phase one at one of the prior meetings.
right.
So I don't think we've gotten it yet.
No.
Okay.
Okay, can you make a note to follow up on that to see where that's at this upcoming week? Thank you. Okay, yes. What?
Skip order.
Four B? Oh, I kind of lumped the three of them together, or that it
We
was
just-
number four that I said, like, we have three categories, but we're gonna focus on little projects because of the building kind of taking a priority. But if anybody does have an idea for beautification or efficiency or capability, whether it's, hey, it would be cool to do bike trails or a
I
walking
guess so.
path or,
So I think this might be the speed issue.
oh, the speed humps. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry. I thought they were actually in their own separate agenda item later, but we are looking at a couple of different solutions. Speed humps are one of them. The engineer actually sent a suggestion over that we're looking at for changing how traffic comes off of 422 to see if that could help break up speeding. We're not super keen on the idea, but we're trying to assess options to cut down the speeding down Main Street.
It's so hard to even come in that way or off of 422 on Church Road. It's so hard to see those roads at night.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There's no sign, there's nothing there. And that's even gonna be worse if you do take that away and you have to go down a little further and come in.
Yeah.
I don't know, something needs to be put up there. I know when there
So-
was a restaurant, you had the marquee there.
Yeah.
That was great. Now there's nothing. Especially when it's raining. I don't know if anybody else has a problem, but. It's a minute, if I want to see at church.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
And that's gonna make it be worse unless you do something there. I don't know.
Yes, unless you're very familiar
And yeah.
with the roads, the access points
I
and
mean,
stuff.
we could put a turn sign there.
You have to see it at night. That's what
Yeah.
light.
Yeah, I mean, putting in a street light is an option, but it's not exactly the easiest or the cheapest option.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, let's kind of take mental note of that as a problem area and see if maybe simple signage might do it. Otherwise, we'll have to look into other solutions while we're looking at some of the speed abatement stuff down Main Street.
But we could use a little more police presence, I think, sitting in town. Like I said, it stinks to pull them off of 422, but
Oh, we've got
I-
got the speeders. We just got to
Yeah.
get them there
Yeah.
at the right time to be
Yeah.
able to
Right.
catch it.
And we had talked during the workshop about moving the signs around and accessing the portable one.
Yeah.
Because Carl was able to
Yeah,
Carl
pull
was
the
able to get it
data
working.
for us. Yeah.
He was able to get the portable speed sign
Yeah.
working. So
So it's pulling the data and figuring out where our sore points are, so to speak.
Mhm.
And so working with that information.
Yeah, Kelly, you had your,
Do you need more speed limit signs? When you come in Marion Drive and head west, there are no speed limit signs all the way down through town going west.
I thought there was at least two. So there's,
I'm sorry, where did you say?
If you go in Marion Drive,
From,
422, go to Main Street, make a right, head west, there's no speed limit signs.
I thought
on
there
Main
was,
Street.
on Main Street, I
All the
thought there
way
were,
down
I
through.
thought there was one, like,
There's one going up the hill.
Going west,
Maybe
going
I'm-
west.
maybe I'm orienting
Going
myself
east,
wrong.
there is one,
There's one like halfway, like if you
between
crest the
Water
hill.
and Sheridan, there's.
Yeah,
Going-
yeah,
going
yeah, yeah,
west.
yeah.
Between Water and Sharp, there is one
Yeah.
heading east, but going west, I don't think there are any. I was looking at that on Saturday.
Going west from Marion?
No, like if
Once
you,
from Main
once you turn onto Main Street going west.
to Main Street, or 422 to Marion, right on Main Street. There are no speed limit signs on Main Street going west.
Back up to
Well,
420.
Yeah, like if you're going back out towards 422.
The state guidelines, so you have to have so many signs within so many feet of each other. So there might be a block there without a speed limit sign.
Okay.
I know
let's-
there's, as you come out of town, there's some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let's
I'll
check.
look, I'll check into it.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay. Next is the Sheridan Road South. This was the drainage and pavement improvement project. The shoulder reinforcement has been done. That was done on the 20th. Anybody hasn't driven it yet, it looks really good. We've had a lot of people driving on the shoulder though, so we might need to consider evaluating if there's something that can be done, but it is pretty narrow there.
Is there any way to mitigate the rocks that keep on getting tossed back onto the road?
I was gonna throw the brush at
Yeah.
the snow blowers on the back of the tractor now. I was gonna next week pull that off and put the brush on, or at least take a couple trips down there, try to clean it up.
Thank you.
Okay. Is it just leftover stones or is it
Oh, no,
stuff
no,
that's
no.
got
No, you
dislodged?
drive
No, it's
and
for
you hit
people
in the
running
shoulder.
onto it.
and-
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
We had some big fire trucks down that way today.
Yeah.
So that's,
They were there before the fire trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it still-
well, I
it still
know
doesn't-
it was a mess before.
still
'cause
doesn't
I
help.
brought it up Saturday, but now it's
Mm.
worse
Yeah.
because I drove it Saturday and today.
Okay, so we'll look at that too. The next item is the extension of the stormwater pipe along Marion. We're just waiting for the paving season to open up so that can be finished. Bollinger Road with the overflow matter. I'm not gonna go into too much on that because of the potential around litigation. However, I did want to ask
wait,
Colin.
wait, let's just rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
So the Marion Drive,
At Main Street for the,
yeah,
all that stuff, the color commentary on that is older. The only thing that's still outstanding is the paving, the final paving in the spring.
okay. Do we have a number on what that might be, the final paving? I just want to keep track.
Oh,
of-
it's part of the 77,875.
Okay, so we paid out, okay.
Yeah.
So Lisa, if you could just help me keep track of the numbers of upcoming projects for this year. Cause we did pay a portion of the work that was complete on that. I just want to make sure I'm not losing track of the money going out then.
Yeah,
Okay.
the only thing, because that's not a
Yeah.
change order, that's just the.
Right, the
the-
completion
yeah.
of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Can we start looping the assistant treasurer and what some of that stuff?
Yes, Dan and I, okay, there's a lot to learn. I will
No, I
have
get
Dan
it.
in here when I can. I have to schedule it with him, so that's gonna get
Mm.
taken care of, don't worry. He'll be up to speed. It's gonna take a while.
No, I get it. We gotta get that process.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah,
Okay, but Bollinger Road, won't go into too much of it because of the possibilities around litigation, but I do know we have to rebid that out for the remediation on that. Do we have a date for when we're supposed to do that? Because I know we've bumped that date a couple of times.
I don't believe so.
Okay,
In any event, we have to reach a settlement with the property owners and Jackson Township first.
Yeah.
Tonight, we do need to authorize the entry into another tolling agreement.
Yeah.
As the board will recall, we previously signed a tolling agreement with the Sonans last year. We need to now sign a tolling agreement with both the Sonans and Jackson Township.
okay, well, that's actually the next item on the agenda, so is there anything more that you need to, or we need to say about that specific thing?
No.
other than to authorize it?
The project should not be bid again until all the parties reach a settlement agreement.
Okay.
Noted. Okay, so with that said, we do need to authorize, as Colin mentioned, the execution of the tolling agreement with the Sonnens and Jackson Township. So I'll make a motion to authorize the execution of the tolling agreement with the Sonnens and Jackson Township.
Second.
Motion made by Peter, second by Irene. Roll call, Peter?
Aye.
Irene?
Aye.
Leslie?
Next is the 2025 road projects. And like I said, Carl, will talk about that. The one thing that we did talk about previously is we had put in for Shady Cabin Circle for the liquid fuels grant and found out that it does not qualify for liquid fuels. And according to PennDOT, it is not a public road. So, Colin, the question for you is, how do we fix that?
You don't.
That,
It's private.
That's
what we deal with.
yeah, well, you guys have the HOA though, too. We don't. But from what it looks like, the road was never actually dedicated. So
Okay.
like I have
Has
a
it been
couple of,
used by, has it been used by the public?
Yeah,
So
for
I
decades.
have to, there are specific provisions in the second class township code that dictate whether the road is or is not public or private, despite having never been formally dedicated.
Okay.
So let me review those provisions and get back to you with my legal opinion about whether it is a public road despite not being dedicated.
Yeah.
Now, if it's not a public road, Dan is right that the only way the township can acquire an interest is if all of the abutters want to dedicate it to us.
Yeah. Which I'm pretty sure if I went around to everybody there and said, hey, road, probably everybody would agree with
One,
Yeah, 'cause it's junk. They don't want
it.
it.
Yeah.
one property owner could also petition, and then there's a process to follow whereby if a certain majority of the abutters also consent, the township could hold a hearing and acquire the street. So there are some options.
Yeah.
But
You need time.
I need more detail and I need to look at the code provisions.
Yeah, because of living down there, I checked any of the parcels that I have, and the parcel descriptions don't include any reduction for the road. And that I don't know if it was a timing thing, like when the parcel, like the deed was written
Well,
originally.
it's possible that you own the fee title over which
the other stuff.
there is a right of way.
Yeah. But that coupled with the fact that PennDOT was like, no, this doesn't exist, was the like, okay, we need to hit the timeout button and ask Colin.
What's the mileage of that roadway?
Oh, it's nothing. It's not even,
Tenth of a mile.
maybe like, if anything, third of a mile,
I'd say
quarter.
Does
Does
the township maintain it right now?
Yes, yeah, they plow it during the winter, and that's,
And it's generally open to the public?
oh, it's
Yeah.
always
How
open to the
many
public.
properties abut it?
Doesn't at
It
least.
doesn't say probably 12 to 15.
Yeah.
Well, that throws a big monkey wrench into everything.
It does. The other thing that I want to follow up with the engineer and with Carl is, do we have any other roads that are in similar condition where PennDOT thinks we don't have them and we think we do?
not from what I saw according to PennDOT.
Okay, good. Because that was my concern, is this is just the tip of the iceberg of, oh, they think we have 30 miles of road, but we actually have 34. So if that's not the case, that's at least a silver lining, but
So here would be another consideration. If the road was dedicated to the township, the road still is narrow and does not meet the guidelines for liquid
yeah,
fuels.
it's definitely non-conforming. So I mean, the liquid fuels thing aside, that's one thing, but
Yeah, it's
the
definitely a
issue,
one-way road.
yeah,
Somebody's got to drive in somebody's yard when somebody goes around you, and that.
yeah, it's definitely, it was originally like just a lane.
And no offense, but this could be opening up a can of worms for you in another direction, because
Yeah.
when I talked to Glenn on why people from Shady Cabins also
Yeah.
didn't get anything
Well,
along with the rest of
they
the town
should
for
have
cleaning
been.
up,
That's-
right? He
that's
said
the
that they
thing.
couldn't because it was a private lane. So it's
Which-
Kraft's understanding is it's a private lane, whether that's true or not.
Yeah, I'm wondering where
Right, but
where they got that from, because this
That's
is,
what he told me in
we
the phone
only,
conversation.
we only found out about this like a week and a half ago.
Right.
So,
So I don't know where they got, that's a good question for Glenn.
yeah. Maybe I'll have to give Glenn a call this week, or if you talk to Glenn, ask him like, where did you guys get that bit of information from? Because it certainly wasn't the township.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
So here's what the code provides.
Yeah.
Okay? Any road used for public travel and maintained by the township for a period of at least 21 years is a public road.
Yeah.
Having a right of way of at least 33 feet,
okay, then that would,
despite there being no public record of the dedication.
Okay.
okay.
So we may very well.
Is there anything that we
On that
have to
road.
do to make that official other than just the
I
statement
don't know
that
if you'll
that's,
33 feet of right away there.
no, we don't, we don't. It would be into people's houses. I can tell you that.
Yeah, there's a lot, that's not 33 feet.
No way.
No, God,
That's-
no.
that's very
That,
tiny.
that road, if you're lucky, it's like
Well,
12 feet wide.
We don't, there's no obligation to use all 33 feet.
Okay,
We just have that amount of right of way associated with the code.
How would the property owners feel about that though, if you,
well, no, we don't, what he's saying is we don't have to take the 33 feet. So if we say we're only
No, you
taking,
take, the 33 feet is ours, doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean we have to use all of it.
Yeah.
right, but it could be later on. You know,
Yeah.
you could be opening up a Pandora's box later on for a different board to take
Yeah.
half somebody's yard away in shady cabins.
I mean, my
And
concern
you
would
wouldn't
be
want to do that.
would be in
I wouldn't want to
somebody's
live
house.
back there if you did that.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, so I don't know if you'd want to open that up
yeah,
with that.
I still go
Information.
back to the first statement.
Yeah.
It's a private road.
possibly a private road. Personally, I don't mind plowing it. I have a tractor that I can plow stuff with, but not everybody does. And you guys have seen the condition of that road. It would almost be a good thing if it was a private road, because then I could just tear it up and repave it rather than trying to do something with
We
like
could still
township
do
money with it.
that.
Well, not legally. But
Cul-de-sac and just, pave everything, make one big circle,
what do you mean?
like these, we have houses that are at a circle.
Yeah.
And no
Yeah.
one has a perfect straight street to their house.
Yeah.
It's all one big macadam area.
I don't think you can really do that with Shady Cabin Circle. I'm not quite picturing what you're saying, Don.
So if you're driving to the end of a development.
Yeah, yeah, well,
there's
no,
a
I know,
dead end
I know
of
what
it.
I know what a cul-de-sac is. I
Yeah.
just don't know how you would do that.
Well, I don't know what's in the center of your
It's
circle.
it's grass.
because Isn't there an old
There's
well
a,
or
there's a,
tank or
there's a,
something in
there's a
there?
well in the middle of it.
Yes, that's gonna be an issue too, and I don't know
Yeah.
if that's used.
It,
by
it
any-
is, it is. One of the properties that is their well.
Right, and then you've got a water runoff issue, right, with well water
Yeah.
and macadam.
If the township wanted to formally take the road as its own, it would need to hold a hearing
Hearing.
and then pass an ordinance.
Okay.
Then I ask this question. What can Stonecroft Village do to get its private roads dedicated to
Yeah,
the township?
the township doesn't have an obligation to take.
I know
dedication of
you
any
don't
roads.
have an obligation. That wasn't my question.
Wouldn't that be a situation where they'd
Yeah, I
have,
mean,
they'd have to
it-
dissolve the HOA and they'd not be?
No,
a
they, I
community?
mean, no, in
Would be the-
theory, the HOA could try to give us a deed of dedication for the roads, but we have no obligation to accept it.
But isn't there, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but my understanding of this is we wouldn't be able, even if they did that, we wouldn't be able to accept it because it's like a 55 and older community, that there's stipulations on who can be there and who can't.
No, that's for the residents.
Yeah, okay.
No.
I might be remembering that wrong. I thought there was some weird
Because
thing.
like,
there
there's
are
restrictive,
it's,
the
yeah,
restrictive
yeah,
covenants.
yeah,
Is what you're thinking.
yes,
It's just an age limit. for-
yeah,
And again, 55 and over, federal government doesn't necessarily say every resident
Yeah.
has to be
Right,
55.
Yeah.
There is a
yeah,
percentage.
yeah, I know. But I'm probably just remembering the bits that I read of that where there are certain restrictions that you can't abide when you're doing like private to public transfer. But again, if you guys, like Colin said, if you want to make the overture for it, that's something we as a board can discuss.
Absolutely. You know, every rule is made to be made and made to be broken.
Well, the goal here is not to break the rules, but to change the rules if needed.
Change it.
Yeah.
Since we're throwing this in, Park
Yeah.
Lane isn't a 55 and older.
Yeah.
we can Throw that one in too. And it's a very small road, so it's not even an eighth of an acre.
Where is
I'm
Park
off.
Lane? Yeah, where is Park Lane? I'm not, but
Trailer park.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I just didn't know the name of it, but either way, whatever we do with it, it is an issue that we have to resolve one way or the other, whether we choose to take it as a road or turn it back as private. We got to do something with it now that it's on our radar. So, Colin, you don't have to give us an answer tonight. Take it away as an item for research, but
Now also, didn't Hydroterra have a concern with it not being dedicated with sewer too?
yeah, if it's not dedicated, they can't put the sewer in on that section of things. Or at least not through that project. So that's the other part of it.
Oh my God.
The township would need to acquire an easement.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
it gets more and more complicated, more and more complicated. So,
That's not difficult.
okay. So I think the big thing is we need to let Colin look this over a bit and then advise on
But you
what
are
our
saying
options
though,
are.
if the people didn't want the sewer, you're saying that they could literally block it by not making that a private road.
No.
No,
public road.
you'd have to go after
We
an
would stop-
easement, but there's
we would
difficulties
stop-
of getting
We would
easements.
obtain an easement
Yeah.
through a declaration taking.
No, it's more complicated stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's not going to be as cut and dry as it is.
And then we'd pay just compensation for that. Right?
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so more on that, but that was the interesting thing that came up in the past couple of weeks. Next item is the subdivision and land development ordinance. This is something that we're working on updating, largely around the update of the roadway specifications of the 5-year roadway moratorium. Engineer Spade is working on this, and hopefully we'll have some information for us to review at the April board meeting. Next up is the Blue Spruce. They are currently installing drainage facilities, which started on March 13th. Otherwise, no other updates on that project. Twilight Acres, as we discussed earlier, other than the need to move that monument that they've donated very nicely to us, there's no updates there as well. Alden on 6th, there's no updates on that project at this time either, but just to reiterate, it's very much in its early phases. There's not a lot of detail around that other than an interest in that development. Dutch Valley, they've submitted a letter of credit reduction request. SDE recommends reducing the letter of credit by the requested amount. The current amount is $346,515. They would like to reduce the letter of credit by $320,271.94, leaving $26,243.50. So they've functionally completed everything other than just the final closeout for that.
No, they haven't planted the arborvitae trees.
Okay, but that's why it's pretty minimal.
They need to do a study on their parking lot lights, their lights, just to make sure that they meet what the plan had expected.
Okay.
The lights are in, but they're slightly different than what was called for on the plan.
Okay.
So we don't know from a foot candle standpoint if it meets that.
Gotcha. But that explains the low amount, as it's two
Correct.
minor things.
Yeah, and I mean, the arborvitae trees, the plan and the conditions of the project indicated that they were a must and that they could put a fence behind the trees. But that the trees for screening purposes were
required.
They wanted to say they put a fence up and that delineates that, but that would go against what the project was approved for.
Okay. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the letter of credit reduction request, reducing the letter of credit for Dutch Valley from $346,515.44 down to $26,243.50.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Peter, second by Jesse. Roll call, Peter.
Aye.
Irene.
Aye.
Jesse.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. For equipment repair, there's no items that need to be repaired at this time that Carl has flagged. For township property, we are still working on getting the barcode stuff in place to be able to do a full inventory top to bottom on all the equipment and tools. Trash dumping, we're continually dealing with people dumping stuff along Main Street, Canal Road, and now 422. We're going to look at getting some trail cams. I didn't get a huge chance to do that because of some family medical issues that cropped up this past week. But I will be working on that and circulating that out so that we can talk about it at the next workshop meeting. Number 23, for road crew equipment, we authorized Carl to purchase a couple pieces of equipment that he did need. Cordless grease gun, a Makita one, since we have a whole bunch of batteries for Makita tools. Cordless tool set from Amazon as well. And a couple of wrench sets and impact wrenches. Since we got the Amazon tax thing straightened out, Lisa, thank you for doing that. Carl, did you get that ordered yet or no?
No, I didn't know.
Okay.
It was okay.
So Lisa got that squared away. I want to say on like Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
So
that is
it's good to go. You can
Thank
place the order for those. We authorized the purchase contingent upon getting the sales tax thing straightened out with Amazon at the workshop meeting. Zoning hearing board. So we talked to Beverly, who is one of the interested parties, and we're going to be trying to make some time to talk to Doug Hoover, who's the other interested party for the zoning hearing board. Based on the following discussion after we've interviewed both candidates, we'll appoint somebody to the zoning hearing board. 25 is the meetings. We are switching from Zoom to Teams. Right now we are running both concurrently. There's nobody on either right now. But next month we can make the switch off, and we'll have the team stuff advertised on the website and bulletin boards and etc. And we just won't run the two meetings concurrently. Office hours have changed. We are now open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4, and we're closed on Fridays. This will give the secretary a chance to catch up on meeting minutes and work on scanning documents and other items in that can normally get disrupted or distracted upon during the week. Number 27 is the burn ban. The emergency management coordinator is suggesting that we institute a burn ban due to the ground being very dry, along with dry atmospheric conditions, low humidity, and high winds. We would need to adopt this through resolution 2025-6. Does that resolution specify, was it 30 days?
30 days.
30 days?
Right.
So based on everything that John was kind enough to pass along and just reading some stuff on the side around concerns around fire risk, I think we should do it because we had a brush fire today out on, is that Sheridan? Yeah. So it's definitely a risk, and it's only going to get worse if people, once it gets warm, start burning stuff. So I'll make a motion to adopt the burn ban resolution for 2025-6. Which would prohibit burning in Marion Township for the next 30 days.
Now, do they have to be 30 days or can they be?
They can be longer, but
like, let's say we get,
renew it.
right, but let's say we get a bunch of rain. Let's say it starts raining tomorrow. Or
I
does that last 30 days solid?
think we can revoke it if we really
You can,
want to.
you can revoke it.
Think about it this way, though. If we 30 days from now would be essentially the next meeting. So we aren't going to really, other than the Saturday workshop, we're not going to have a meeting with an opportunity to revoke it.
Right, I get it.
30 days is pretty long because it's starting to green up already.
Yeah.
Once it greens up, you have very few brush fires.
I'm just worried about the farmers.
30 days is pretty long.
This is going into their farming season. Where
I'm
they're at plowing.
worried about a fire that just took out 3.5 acres today.
I get that, but he also lit a fire on a windy day, which would also burn down anybody's property.
Yeah. But I mean,
If we get rain,
yeah.
even when the resolution is effective, we do not have to enforce it.
Okay. Because I am concerned about the farmers. This is their planting season, right? They want to get out there, get rid of what they need to get rid of.
Again, to the extent we get, a couple rainy days, in a row.
Yeah.
We can put out a message that the resolution is no longer being enforced and we intend to revoke it at our next meeting to the extent it's still effective.
I don't want people to think I'm against the burn ban. I just want to also be common sense because we have a lot of agricultural properties out here that are trying to do their jobs.
To that end, I'd like to think we approach things with a shred of common sense. So
then that's what we need to do.
And if there's a situation where, like, let's just say it's 30 days and it rains tomorrow.
Right.
We don't have to enforce it.
Right.
We can, we don't have to. And for the sake of consistency, we probably should uniformly do it. But if we say,
we also need to just remember this is a very important season for them.
Oh, yeah.
April, May, June.
With
getting
that
the
said,
crops
though,
in the ground.
I get that, but we also don't want to have.
I agree with that, right? But I just want to know if we could, if we didn't need the 30 days, we would say, hey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There was a motion on the table.
Yeah, so motion still is on the table.
I'll second.
Motion made by Peter, second by Irene. Roll call, Peter.
Aye.
Irene.
Aye.
Bessie.
Aye.
Okay. Next item is the snow emergency.
Oh, he
I
left.
was
Oh, that
saying he just
gentleman
left. Okay, so let's make contact with, Wilmer, about using the parking lot. Somebody had passed along that he was receptive to the idea that,
I think Kelly did.
yeah, Kelly, was that you? That did pass that
You have
along?
his contact information?
Yeah, I'm sure we can find
So,
it.
and we had a question for Colin on
Yeah.
that. So we had talked about briefly the idea of asking Mr. Good about utilizing the parking lot over at the church because there's quite a bit of space
Mm-hmm.
during a snow emergency so that vehicles come off the main strip there. Do you have any concerns about that?
With it being private property, or is there anything we have to institute with the property owner to make that?
We didn't,
You could,
or it was
you could,
private.
Well, I think there might have been an agreement or something in
Yeah.
place with the social hall.
And that,
and you could put it in a lease.
You
Yeah.
had it before with the church. You had an agreement before with that church. Yes, you did.
Well-
it was that church and the fire company lost
Yeah.
the original
Yeah,
fire,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I remember people parking at both. And I
Well-
think that should be taken into
The- the-
consideration.
The issue is that you have, okay, all the cars parked there, but then you have no way to plow that lot.
Mhm.
You have to plow the lot first before the cars go on.
Unless they're parked there when it's snowing.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to get them off of Main Street, then they go to those lots and
Yeah.
now they're on there when.
They're snowed in on the lot.
Get the Main Street plowed and then you move your truck back to your house. No.
Okay, so I think you're right. I think the lease is the mechanism, kind of like we did the lease with the MTCA for the $0 amount, or like the $1 or whatever it was for symbolic.
Be some sort of insurance agreement too. You wouldn't want a citizen falling and trying to sue him, the church owner, right?
Right,
Yeah.
no. It would have to be fair.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And it should be taken into consideration if we use his lot, probably about the
Yeah.
organ, right?
Yeah.
Feeling that,
Well, I mean,
I guess that's a dollar amount, but it's also worth a dollar amount when he helps us park vehicles there on his private property.
Right, but the two items have to be separate.
yeah.
Right.
And so there might be some
Yeah.
stuff that requires us to do certain
Right.
things for certain ways. But, yeah, if you can, Colin, take that as a takeaway on what we would have to do to make that proper, assuming he is receptive to
Right, we
the
have to
idea.
ask him first.
Did we suggest maybe parking on one side of the street so Carl can do the plowing and then when he's done with the one side, then they move over? to the
Alternate
other?
side of the
Yeah,
street
that's-
parking.
That's certainly an option too.
They did that years ago.
Yeah.
They did that when I was younger.
Okay.
Yep, that would work.
Did it work? Did it work pretty well?
They had the whole one side of the street empty. They plowed it and then the cars went and they went over and then they plowed the other side.
I like that idea
Yeah.
better. This way you don't have to have any other
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah, or I mean, or we have both where we
Yeah.
we do the offset and
Yeah.
then any overflow goes to the
Yeah.
lot, but my fear is we have so many cars now
Exactly.
compared to what,
Yeah.
when you were younger, that we may
Yeah.
not physically have enough space
Yeah.
to do it that way.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay. We had talked about moving on to the next item, personal property, and the stewardship thereof in the case of things like the plow truck, if Carl has to take it home while it's snowing, the drone or other EMC supplies with the EMC. This would be the personal property resolution, which is 2025-5. That would officially recognize and outline proper stewardship of those items. I don't have any objections to this. It's all very common sense and helps protect us and the people that are holding those pieces of equipment for the purposes of their job from any adverse liability. So I'll make a motion to adopt personal property resolution 2025-5.
Second,
Motion made by Peter, second by Irene. Roll call, Peter.
Aye.
Irene.
aye.
Jesse.
Okay. Next, street sweeping. The date for street sweeping will be May 7th, 2025, with a rain date of May 8th. Lisa, do you have the streets? It's all the streets that we normally do minus Palatine.
Regular spot for you.
Yeah.
You want
Yeah,
to?
yeah, can you grab it for me? So I did not grab that off my desk before I left. So it's Main Street, Church Road, Marion Drive, Water Street, and the Engine House. And that is where the street sweeping is happening. Okay, that'll be nice and swept just in time for the car show, which is on the 17th of May. It's going to be on Main Street again. Has the MTCA sent over the the request for the traffic plan for the car show yet? I assume we're just doing the
Not
same thing.
officially, as, if it's gonna be the same as was last year.
Yeah, is that basically what you guys want to do? Is the same thing we did last year?
That's what we thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, unless Mary can.
Okay, well, let me know, like after your next meeting, and then I'll circulate it with us, and then we'll issue the official like road closure and the signage stuff.
I have a silly question.
Yeah.
Why don't we do any of the back lanes in where we're doing the
That's we usually,
street sweeping?
we just have them do that for the main drag, so to speak.
The municipal building isn't on the main drag.
Well, I mean, but the municipal building normally is where we have people coming and going.
Right, and the park,
The
right?
park,
But
yeah.
I would assume you're coming right out of where the bridge is and
Yeah.
you're sweeping all the way down there, right? You're coming all the way up past Canal Road here, which
Yeah.
I get there's cinders there, right?
Yeah.
But to do that little bit in the back
we
alleys,
can-
would that really be a big deal?
We can ask them.
I don't think
Question is there a lot of cinders? Is there stuff really?
There is, because I cleaned them up, unfortunately,
Okay,
at least on my section of the back alley.
okay. So let's make a note. Let's ask the street sweeping people what the difference in cost would be. And then if it's possible to include it this year, awesome. If not, then we'll add that for the next year's street sweeping.
Carl, you cinder those back lanes, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's cinders back there.
Yeah.
I ride motorcycle. I don't like cinders or rocks on my roads
And
or
do you-
grass.
Due to the salt shortage, we were going a little heavy on the cinders this year.
Yeah,
Fair.
yeah. See, there's a lot back there, I promise.
Okay. Okay.
That's Canal, right?
No, that's
The back.
all the
lanes
back lanes
of-
along. Yeah.
Hunsinger and
Yeah. So it's
I forgive me. I'm not-
I forget them too for the most part. Okay, while he's doing that, we'll move on to the next thing, which is record keeping. We had talked a little bit about this on Saturday. The long and short of it is there's some obligations in terms of how long records are retained, and when you're supposed to actually destroy old records and what things should be retained, what things should be destroyed, that previous boards, I think for lack of a better term, just weren't aware of. So that's something that
Well, no,
we're,
they just saved everything.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
didn't get rid of
Did-
anything.
Did you stop by and pick up a copy?
Yeah, he did.
I have a book about this.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
light
There's
reading.
not all the chapters apply to us, as you can
Yeah.
see, so.
I'll highlight some of the areas.
Yeah. And like I said, I had stickered up my book, so it's coming up with our own records management system that is in line with the recommendations, and we could pass resolutions that would allow us to destroy records on a routine basis, and just coming up with a system to categorize, and so that we're doing it now, and we could pass along the information future boards.
The
Yeah,
system that
Right.
you developed
Needs to be
and that you
consistent.
and I followed for a
Yeah.
while. Fantastic, because it's really
yeah.
cut and dry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Lisa and I have found there's so many things that were by property owner's name, which doesn't apply. People die, people sell. And so
Yeah.
the way records were kept previously will make it a little bit of a challenge, but tackling it in some ways will feel a little bit satisfying. So,
Yeah, and then there's things that if we can get rid of them,
Yeah.
we'll digitize them. We'll keep a
Yes.
digital copy of it, and then we'll get rid of the original. If it's
Yeah.
not something that's
there's a
either
lot
worth
we
keeping
can
or has to keep.
digitize. Yeah,
So that'll be ongoing. And what I had mentioned to Dan earlier when I was talking to him is we can use other than some of the really big stuff, we can actually use the copier for that. You would just have
Yes.
to take the staple out, load it
Yes.
into the feeder, scan it in, and then restaple it.
just thinking
If we're
about
keeping
how
it.
much stuff.
Oh,
is
it's a
there.
huge
It
volume
would
of stuff.
probably fill this room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Massive amount of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the Berks County Cooperative Purchasing Council. This is something that we, as the township, can use to purchase salt from. We've not been involved in this previously. I kind of thought there was some weird stipulation where if you were in one, you couldn't be in the other, but I don't think that's actually the case. The only thing we would have to do as a board is when we go to order
I
from
don't think so.
the
Yeah.
co-stars.
Yeah, Lisa had reviewed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is going back quite a few years, like from when the first year that I was on the board where we talked about this. And I could have swore there was some reason where it was like, well, if we do this, then we can't do this other thing. But if that's not valid, then the only thing I would say is we want to make sure that we adjust our salt quantities so that we're not buying too much total. Like if we got to adjust our co-stars quantity to reflect what we're buying from the
I don't think-
BCC
I
PC.
don't think the county has a minimum.
They
No,
don't,
they
they don't
don't
have a
really.
minimum, but
Or Mac.
we want to make sure that we're not committing too heavy on the one and then getting some from the other, we're not getting some from the other. We got to just kind of rethink the model a little bit. And I think the salt purchase requirement for co-stars is due in May. Oh, we already did? Okay.
Yeah, Carl and I
So-
worked on that together
Okay.
and,
Okay, so I mean, in a pinch, if we need to, we can buy it from BCC PC. We just have to tell them that we're participating. So
Well, that's a question.
I'll make a motion to authorize the participation in the Berks County Cooperative Purchasing Council.
I'll second.
motion made by Peter, second by Irene, roll call Peter.
Aye.
Irene.
Aye.
Jesse.
Moving on to the next item, office supplies and equipment. We're looking at getting a laptop for the roadmaster. That way he has that with him in the shop or when he's out on the road and is able to upload things or put things into GIS. We got a quote for another Lenovo ThinkPad from iSolve with everything on it that needs to be on it, along with support for $1,810.
That's set up and installed.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the whole enchilada for it. So, is there a reason there's two motion lines? on that one?
Then the other thing, which there's no
Oh,
period there, is,
yeah.
we were talking about office dividers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so one
Okay.
problem that we have is when during a work day, when people are coming in, they're just going right around and they're coming right up to the desks.
Okay.
We'd like to just kind of halt traffic at this first desk here, because there's some sensitive materials on the desk. So we were talking about a short divider here and a short divider for Lisa's desk. I just have numbers on no one wants to look at my stuff. But I know you had talked about the stanchions,
Yeah,
that's what
the-
they're called, with the
stanchions.
rope.
Yeah.
I had no idea did you know that's what they were called? I didn't know they were
Yeah,
called
I've
that.
heard. I didn't think of it.
This Troy, yes, I had no
Are
idea.
they?
Yeah.
We
So,
were looking at that.
so we were looking at, what were they, about like $45 for the dividers, or was it a little bit more? Do you have that price on there?
You're just talking like a folding room.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's,
How many would you need?
Two. We were just looking about two short sections. There's one over there and one for Lisa's desk
are they
to
like
give her some
$50
privacy,
on Amazon or
or
something.
something like that.
They were between 50 and 100, let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
What's an 8-foot 4x4
I
cord
was gonna say,
with a hole drilled in and a rope?
you could do some two
Yeah,
by four
well,
and
that's-
drywall or something.
well, that's what I
too.
had said about the
Yeah.
like the rope.
Right.
It's joking. They put up a velvet rope
So
that you can't get
one
through.
reason we would want these particular things, they're easily collapsible and foldable. So it's just the polite thing to put there, so it gives you this physical barrier. If we would have someone that would come here with a wheelchair or there was an emergency, they're not gonna be obstructing. Versus, I mean, I know it's a little bit petty, but like a stanchion or something like a piece of wood or something that's a little bit more fixed would be a little bit more difficult.
The other thing is for like meetings and stuff
Yeah.
like that, we can fold them up
Right,
so that you can
we just move
get
them.
in here easier.
And whatever items we purchase, we want to be conscious of down the road, whatever physical location that we're in, we take these items with us. So, we want to make sure that we're repurposing things that we have.
I mean, I see the necessity of it. I don't
Yeah,
oppose the idea. So do we want to
up to
up to
$200.
$200?
I don't think they're even that.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
I had gotten one recently for my house, and I want to say it was like $50.
Yeah.
So
I would say each one I looked at was somewhere between 50 and 100-ish.
Yeah.
Around there, so.
So let's do this one at a time. I'm gonna make a motion to purchase a laptop for use by the roadmaster from iSolve for $1,810, which includes the setup and all associated equipment.
Motion made by Peter, second by Jesse, roll call Peter.
Aye.
Irene.
Aye.
Jesse.
Okay, next is the office dividers. I'll make a motion to authorize the purchase of folding office dividers up to $200.
Second.
Motion made by Peter, second by Irene, roll call Peter.
Aye.
Irene.
Aye.
Jesse.
Next on the agenda is the committee for the building. This is a 7-member committee. There's a sign-up sheet here if you're interested. We are going to be imposing a deadline for signing up on that sheet of May 1st, after which time we will review the list of interested parties and then make a selection of 7 members of the committee. Even if you're not on the committee, we still urge people from the community and the township as a whole to participate. Come to the meetings, make your voice heard.
We did send out a email to our community
Excellent.
with your requests and information.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that, Dan.
You know, we'll see if anyone in Stonecroft wants to be on that
Yeah, and we definitely, like I said before, we'd like to have good representation from all the areas of the township. So maybe 2 people from Stonecroft, 2 people from the main, like, Main Street area, 2 people that are farmers, and then another committee member of, just randomly selected personage. So, next is the EMC report. John, do you have anything that you want to report tonight?
I'm in the process of redoing the emergency management.
Can you
plan
come
for
over
down
here
south.
for the
Yeah,
microphone?
Irene's gonna make you come over.
Is there anything with the letter so we can get the fire department the tools?
So I saw there was an email from Colin that as long as we retain ownership and we aren't conveying that to them, they're allowed to essentially hold and use the tools.
And at the end of the.
And at the end of that, then we as a board can do that. But we, the fire company had asked for some sort of letter stating our intent. So this is where, Colin, I gotta turn it over to you.
So the grant agreement requires the township to act as the owner of the tools, which means that we need to hold and possess them at a minimum, a majority of the time.
Yeah.
So really, those tools need to be stored and kept in township shed, a township vehicle,
Or township trailer or something.
township trailer, something that the fire department can access in the event of an emergency. Although technically under the grant agreement, the township should not really be giving the tools to the fire department to keep on their premises.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Even if they're part of the emergency response plan for us, because they respond to every emergency.
Yeah.
Usually they're before me.
Yes, because we're the township is the party to the grant agreement. And so the township as the grantee has a requirement to act as the owner of those tools. Because
When I sent
the
picture to Kimberly saying that they,
the township received the money to purchase the tools, not the fire department.
I think once the trailer is available, I think that'll be
no.
less of a
Gonna
problem,
make it slower. They need to have the tools on the trucks.
right? But we can face
And
penalties.
Kimberly, like when she said, she checked with it, as long as we're showing that we are in position, we own them by the property stickers that are on them. Doesn't say where we have to keep them.
So ownership versus possession, yeah, it's a fine line, so,
No,
yeah.
So Kimberly's response was, yes, the fire department can use the tools. But in terms of who is acting as the owner, that party must be the township. Because the township received the money to buy the tools, not the fire department. And we don't want to potentially violate that grant agreement, which would potentially prohibit us from receiving additional grants in the future.
So here's my question. Is there anybody other than John and the deputy on the EMC board from the fire company? EMC team?
I think technically they're all.
Because technically, if
I don't think the issue, and correct me if I'm wrong, Colin, isn't the membership or participation in the EMC stuff. It's about where the stuff is kept in terms of viewing it.
Correct.
as-
It's about what party is fundamentally acting as the owner of the tools.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
but if John is the EMC, right?
He's certainly entitled to keep the
Because he's
tools
a,
in
he's a,
his,
he's a
in his
township
truck.
employee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a township
Yeah.
employee. But let's say he has people under him, right? That are in the fire company. Now, can they have those tools on them? That's what I'm asking. Because if he's a township employee and he's allowed to take the drone and everything else home, not to bring that up, John,
Well, we're,
but, right, but if they're a part of his EMC team under him as technically, and he's in control of them, right? But they're also in the fire company because they can do both. Couldn't they keep the
well,
tools?
I guess where are they being kept? That's the right. Are they
yeah.
being kept in a private vehicle? I mean, okay, maybe. Are they being kept at the firehouse? Probably not.
Right,
Um,
that's where you get into,
Yeah.
I mean, if they're kept on a fire department vehicle or at the fire station, that's.
look, that,
yeah.
you know,
Because for example, Mill Creek Township bought tons of equipment. It's under Mill Creek Township, did everything on the LSA grant. Every single piece of equipment's at the firehouse.
yeah. Well, so is that municipal or township fire department?
No, separate entity.
Yeah, so
Same as it's
you know,
here.
I can't opine upon whether that's technically proper under the grant agreement.
So is there, do we have to get something in writing from the state stating that we can house it at the fire departments? Is there another step that we could take?
Yeah.
So-
So I've only discussed the grant agreement with Kim
Okay,
and she reached the same conclusion as me.
okay,
I'm happy to review the grant agreement.
yeah. Because it's great that we have this equipment, but if the people who need to use it,
Right,
you know.
sure.
So I guess, it's like you're beating your head against the wall. It's getting that final answer to, these are the people using it. So can we find out a little bit more if we?
Yeah, I
can?
don't, want- you know, I don't wanna be the person to say no, but I also don't wanna
Right.
have the township risk getting future grants.
Yeah,
So let me,
because it's not just a flaw for us, it's a flaw for any small township that does this. So, I'm sure we're not the only township who has applied for tools in this manner. It doesn't make sense.
let
to
me,
me.
let
Yeah.
me review the grant
Okay,
agreement.
thank you.
And
thank you.
just confirm that opinion.
Thank you, Colin. Okay, John, anything else on the, you may?
Chief, you doing a fire report tonight or no?
I got one, yeah.
Okay, just that, yes, they had a pretty, large brush fire today and literally across the street from my house when I went up. And the compliments again to the fire company that I was dressed walking out my door and they still got out of the firehouse before I get to my truck. It's just, everybody in here, please thank them when you have the opportunity.
Yeah.
How quickly they got there, requested additional resources, seeing what it was. And the fact they stopped that pretty quick. I was, to say the least, impressed with 33 years in the fire service. So not blowing smoke, literally for them. But, again, they did one heck of a job today. So please, when you guys get the opportunity, is everybody sitting in there, please thank them.
Yeah, I think I speak for everybody when I say we genuinely do appreciate having you guys there. And I gotta say, when your pagers or whatever went off earlier, all three of you were out of here before I could make a comment about it. So you guys were off like shots. So thank you.
Yeah, it's nice to have you at the meeting too.
It is.
Really is. Thank you.
And with that segue, Steve, do you have your report ready?
So I just have from February, I don't have anything from this month together yet, but February, we had 6 incidents. 2 of those were outside the township mutual aid. Of the 6 incidents, there was 1 structure fire, 2 automatic fire alarms. We had 1 tree down and 2 medical calls. We did average 6 personnel per incident for that. Also, we had discussed fire police. Everyone does have their certificates now. We did do our nomination process through the fire department. So which one of you would be the one doing the?
Probably be me.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'll be in contact with you sometime. We'll set up a date,
perfect.
me and the rest, and we'll get that taken care of.
Fantastic. Did we order their hats, badges, and vests?
I'll get with Steve
Okay.
next week because I want to know exactly what they are willing to wear, because there's some interesting stuff they can get. I want them to choose it. And I would think 911 rapid response literally has everything in stock down in Anvil, Elmira, that we just go down and okay, here's everything. And I guess what it would be for next month, we could hopefully get them sworn in.
Okay. And do we have to wait for a meeting for that, or can that be done
It can be
offsite?
done anytime.
Okay.
Huh? Normally it's done at the.
Yeah, I'm just curious if that's like, do we have to wait, or do we want to wait, or?
Can you attend one of their meetings and do it in their fire hall?
I mean, probably.
I could tell you from previous meeting
It'll be
minutes, it's been
affiliated
done
with
at
the
a meeting.
township, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you want to do that at a public meeting.
yeah, it's been done at the
So
meeting.
now them
Okay.
being fire police of the township, they're affiliated with the township, right?
They actually
Can they hold
technically-
those tools?
Yeah, possibly.
That might be the out, maybe.
Yeah, it's actually, that's a good thought.
If, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. I don't care how we get it.
Yeah, we gotta figure out how to make it work. but-
Might be.
Yeah,
right.
it's a good.
Yeah,
it's a
I'm
good
not
thought.
trying to trump you. I'm just saying that.
No, I think it's an option, right? To the
Yeah.
extent the tools are kept in one of their personal vehicles that they'll use to respond.
Gotcha.
And I think that's, they're
Yeah.
an agent of the township.
Gotcha.
So that would probably be permissible.
Okay.
And I do appreciate all the effort, but if it comes to the point where you were saying maybe we're maybe bending the rules too far that we not get other further grants, I mean, while we certainly do appreciate any tools or
Yeah.
anything, it's not like we're missing some mission critical.
Yeah.
No,
We don't
we
wanna,
wanna, so,
Right.
we don't
so
wanna
we
break the
wanna, we
rules.
wanna
We wanna
get,
find
we
the-
wanna get you the tools, but we
the
wanna
right
do it
way.
in the right way.
Right.
Exactly.
I just wanted to be clear. I'm not asking you to.
No, I understand, I
Oh, yeah,
understand,
yeah, yeah.
understand, yeah.
Yes.
So, alrighty, I have nothing
Okay.
other of note to report, so.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for coming out and giving us that report. Okay, that is the last item on the agenda. Lisa, do you have the police report?
Should be.
Is it?
That's the end.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, just stuck together when I looked at it earlier. Okay, so last month, the Tulpehocken Police patrolled 846.5 miles of road. They had 37.25 hours of patrol time. There were 2 total incidents, 12 traffic stops, 12 citations, and 4 warnings issued. So fairly busy month in terms of traffic stops. Otherwise, nothing else of note. The only comment I have is just again a reminder that the car show is going to be held on Saturday, May 17th. It's always a good time, so don't forget to show up. And if you have a show car that you want to put into the show, you can register with the Community Association. Pre-registration is $10. Day of the show is $15. Irene, do you have any comments?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jesse.
Only comments I got is the birds, we gotta get that joint zoning back open so we can
Yes.
get the birds.
Yeah.
Straightened out. It's just with the size of the lot, that
It's the,
section of
the,
it,
the setbacks.
the setbacks.
Yeah, so that was Colin, if we can maybe the next time that they go to do any sort of update on that, if we can get that tagged on. There was a section about lot setbacks in 403 that the setbacks were not updated. So it causes problems on Main Street with like the poultry, livestock, and other domesticated pets.
The setbacks were not.
Like from lot line, where you're not allowed to have a facility like a chicken coop or a dog house or whatever within a certain number of feet of a property line.
Right.
Um,
Are you saying the setback is too strict
yeah, it basically makes it impossible for anybody to have anything in their yard.
on Main Street?
Yeah. So we told Kraft to kind of put a fork in that for now, enforce the rest of the section of that, but just ignore
You know,
the
the current setback, the 25,
I think
25
like
feet,
I
20
want to say it's
feet.
20 or 25 feet.
Yeah.
right? And the lots, and the lots
And the
are
lots
what,
are-
50 feet wide.
They're pretty narrow. I think
Yeah,
some of
I
them
think
are
there was.
40. So it's like,
And I think there was a mass,
yeah,
I think there was a acreage cutoff. too.
yeah. There's
That was missed. So, I mean, in the joint zoning, if you look, there's the zoning and then there's the subcategory town center. So that's
Yeah.
the section we would need to change. So those people are allowed to have, and anybody else has a smaller lot outside.
Well, there
I-
are specific regulations for the keeping of livestock,
yeah.
and that may have a specific setback
Right.
provision in it. So, yeah, we probably want to take a look at the ordinance we
Yeah.
enacted last
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah. The rest of the ordinance is fine. It's just when Kraft looked at it, we were like, wow, that
We didn't see it
yeah,
at
that
first.
doesn't work.
Mhm.
So okay. So
And in front of the bridge going out of town.
Yeah.
Going towards Wimmelsdorf.
Yeah.
The nice new bridge that they put there.
Mhm.
There is a old, I don't know if it's a Wimmelsdorf sign or Marion Township sign, one of the old historical cast iron jobs.
The blue one there.
The blue one that's broke off. It's not there.
Oh, so the one that was last year when the state came out and trimmed all the weeds on the bridge. It said, the Tulpehocken Creek. So yeah, it's probably down there somewhere because,
Well, it's broken off. It's
Yeah,
cast iron.
yeah,
So are they
yeah.
gonna pay for it?
no. That was because someone else didn't want to go out and trim up the stuff. So that section, that little S bridge, as we used to call it, is a state bridge. So they would come out, we call them up, they come out and they trim everything up for us. And yes,
they took it out.
yeah,
Can we
So-
get that replaced?
I mean, Yeah.
we could. It just said Tulpehocken Creek on it.
Because blue signs are nice. They're
Yeah, they are.
retro,
I
right?
agree.
Yeah.
We should get the other one repainted too, re-powder coat it. Would be nice.
Yeah. Look into some details on that. I'm not opposed to it.
Richland powder coating is right around the corner.
Yeah.
5 minutes outside of town. I can take the sign off and do that if you want to powder coat it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board with that. So, okay. Lisa, any comments for you?
Not really. They did take sign out front.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so I don't know if you have the design made yet,
I'm not finished with it.
okay. But, as of now, the sign is down. And we, Carl was nice enough to get the,
So I saw the window clean. Looks
yeah,
nice.
signing on the door and, all that stuff
Yep.
up this week, so.
Okay. Uh,
Got it.
Colin, any comments for you?
No, Lisa and I had some discussion over the trash ordinance the past couple weeks.
Mhm.
And in my opinion, that ordinance really needs to be
Mhm.
Yeah,
Written.
fully amended and restated.
Okay,
Okay, yeah. Is that something you'll get the draft for maybe next meeting or May?
Yeah,
thank you.
Troy. Any comments for you?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Carl, any comments for you? Okay. In that case, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting. The time is now 8:26.
Wait. We have to have an executive session.
Yep.
Do we have an executive session that we need tonight?
no,
So yeah, it's just a
no,
meeting.
no
Yeah.
need, no need for an executive session.
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing it up, but no. Okay, so motion still stands, motion to adjourn 8:26 PM.
Second?
Motion made by Peter, second by Irene, roll call Peter.
Aye.
Irene.
Aye.
Jesse.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
I just remember.